Hey, what's up? How you doing?
We're marathoning some pretty casual pedal reviews.
Pretty casual. I would say
talked to
the most casual.
It was
pedal.
pretty casual. We've so far hit the Origin effects.
The SVT.
Yeah, what's it actually
Super
called?
vintage.
Super
The bass rig,
vintage.
super vintage.
Bass rig, super vintage.
Yeah.
Then we hit the API. Well, that one wasn't our bag.
No.
Then we hit the API CMP compressor.
Was our bag.
I love it so much.
We like it.
I'm glad Nick likes it. Then we hit the API LLX EQ.
Which we like.
We like a lot. Mixed bag. Ended up, it's not on my pedal board currently, but I really liked it. It definitely has a use, and it's just not my use right now. But it was super cool pedal.
It's like an A, maybe not an A+ for you.
Absolutely.
It's like that
That's a great
last
way to say
little bit.
And so another I try to be overly disclosing if there's any like compromises here. I don't know. It's hard to trust things on the internet. This Grizzly Bass pedal lives on my board. It currently and it has for years,
a long time. This is a marathon of your board. And listen,
which is a lot.
keeping rent on a place that the landlord is constantly evicting. I mean, it is like
that's very true.
It's big.
This and my Noble have kind of been my mainstays for the
you
longest
got a Noble?
time. Stop.
No, I'm just kidding.
Gosh, every time. They're kind of like my go-to, the most I've been happy with certain tones. So I think they synergize really well, but I wanted to show this pedal on its own. It's going into a Rupert Neve DI clean.
Which everybody's just got laying around. I'm just kidding.
It's a great
They're awesome.
sounding DI.
They're really cool.
Would you just play a little bit?
Yeah, it's off, right?
Yeah, it's off. So there's the clean tone. Creation Audio Labs. We also, every time I'm using their pedal, I tag them on Instagram. They've been super cool. This wasn't free. This isn't sponsored, whatever.
No,
maybe
nothing's
one day
free in life.
But we just really freaking like this pedal. And some of the stuff they're doing.
He loves it. I haven't got a lot of experience with it.
I love it.
I haven't got a lot of experience with it, but I'm open to the thought.
Yeah. Also, just talking about like the design, freaking the fact that it's got such a cool design. It's unique.
Rugged, yeah.
You see the bear's eyes, and then when you turn it on, the teeth come on. Disgusting.
That's metal.
That's awesome.
That's metal.
So what I just did, this is like my always on, very light setting.
Oh, okay. Do you ever ramp it up, or do you kind of leave it?
Well, my new intention for this is to be always on, so it probably is going to stay here.
Sure.
I do ramp it on if I'm using it as a big dirt pedal.
Give it a little toe at action.
Yeah.
Put that toe on there.
But honestly, I've even thought about buying multiple to have an always on.
What's
and
the
have
price
a big
point?
one.
And where do you get it?
Man, I don't.
That's the
I
biggest
feel like
thing.
it's like $250.
That's the biggest thing. We're always talking about like, I got this pedal. It's like, well, is there a wait list? Can you get it from Sweetwater and deliver it in 2 days, and then they'll call you and ask you how your day's been too? Or is it like, even certain things, it's like, can you get it worked on? That's a huge factor.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely always going to ask. So you think it's about $250? Can you get it off of Sweetwater?
I don't know. I got it off Reverb.
Okay.
No, I got it off their site direct.
Straight from them.
You can get them off Reverb.
Who makes it?
Creation Audio
Creation
Labs?
Audio. Yeah, I doubt that's on Sweetwater.
Or Creation Audio.
Easy to get a hold of, though.
Yeah, and
Which
they're
is
in
great.
Nashville, which at this point we are working musicians, and we're in Nashville a lot more than we ever have been.
Quite a bit.
So that's cool. I know it's made on a circuit board.
Yeah.
So repairability, I don't know, probably not great, but like accessing the person to repair it is great.
Is great. Okay, I think that matters a lot to me. That
also probably keeps the price down.
Probably so. All right,
for a boutique, I don't know. I would consider it boutique from a small builder.
Sure.
It's great and the price point's great.
Cool.
Anyway, will you play again? This is my always on setting kind of thing.
You want to turn it off and then there you go. So.
Like just this much hair on it.
Dude, and I was like kind of getting more out of it. I mean, you can really, like, it listens to you.
Yeah. use compression on my board a lot. That API compressor we were talking about, I've done all the Calis and blah, blah,
Probably
blah.
squeeze a little bit more of it.
I like to have my always on overdrive really early in the chain.
Oh, sure.
Because it can respond to my dynamics and get more saturated, whatever. Whereas if I put compression first, it's bringing down my dynamics and getting less flavor out of this.
Sure.
And it's just like your pick, but it seems more lively, whatever, if I have this earlier always on in the chain.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So this is like a kind of like, walk me through these settings real quick.
Yeah, so it has a gain at the beginning, which is kind of your input gain. 12 o'clock is fairly close to, straight up and down. However, these knobs are additive. So you're not adding or cutting. It's just like, do you want more? You kind of have to learn because it's an O and a D. So it's overdrive and distortion.
Okay.
And they act differently as you turn them up. And we'll talk about these later. But just adding overdrive.
Getting some volume out of that.
I have to make sure I'm not like overdriving my preamp. So that's the overdrive that you're getting, which to me on its own doesn't necessarily sound amazing.
I agree.
It sounds cool, but not amazing. It also, some of them sound too tinny and MIDI. It doesn't sound that way.
No.
But they do know that they're sucking a little bit of low end out, and they do something interesting on the back end to fix that. So I'll do the same thing with just the distortion circuit, and you can compare. So here's overdrive. Similar flavor, but it almost hits fundamentally a little lower on my ears, but also sucks way more low end.
Yes.
So would you play that again? So it seems like the character's pretty similar, but this one has way more low end that is retained when you're fuzzing it out.
Totally agree. This one actually seems to give more volume as well.
Yep, and you probably, and hopefully we aren't. I don't think we're clipping on the preamp, but like you use this gain to kind of vary where you're gonna end up landing.
Sure.
And it's like a clean boost. It's really cool if you wanted to just use it as a boost. Nice. I never have. Let's use both the overdrives or the overdrive and the distortion together.
Sure. Yeah. Mix them in. That's almost like buzzsaw.
Yeah. So this is kind of my typical,
that is
area.
Back down. Man.
Yeah,
that
it's way down.
Put you back on Earth.
Yeah. So to talk about these other two controls, this one, I believe, this is a high roll-off, which is cool so if you're getting,
too much of that grit.
If you're getting a lot of hiss. Like, hang on just a second.
Oh yeah,
you get that, and
got the fan on.
You just start to.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. You can get away with so much more live if you're not having it hiss all the time.
Yeah, totally.
That's super cool. I like so that's where it is. I ended up kind of in this area or this because you do end up compromising the high end of your tone a little bit.
Yeah.
But, you can't really talk about tone integrity when you're blowing it out this hard.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's that. I'm going to back it off so it's hissing again. And then this is a mid-scoop bass and treble boost. Oh, so you scoop it a little
parabola.
Bit, but it does it. Yeah, they have like a funk pedal that's one knob, and this is that pedal. And as you mess with it, it kind of sounds more like ampy, like an Ampeg or whatever, where it's like a little bit of scoop, but not like.
Sure.
Bass players are so afraid of scoop, and I think you still need to get the mud out, and it leads to really interesting tones, especially when you're overdriving, because the overdrive is adding like a MIDI high thing, and you can kind of counteract it. You can use more distortion if you're counteracting it in other ways.
Sure.
It leads to really interesting stuff. So would you play?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna back off, keep it clean, and show you what it does. Here we go. So that's pretty unusable to me, but it has a cool sound.
Yeah.
So even that sounds amp-y. That sounds like what the Sans amp wants to do. That sounds like the whatever, without any of the grit.
Yeah, I agree.
Super cool.
I could get there.
For it being at one knob. So when you end up, running it harder, you use these knobs to your advantage too. Would you play just a little bit? So I'm gonna bring the hiss down, then I'm gonna do the scoop. That's cool. I mean, in comparison to some of the other things we've been trying, that's way more present, way more usable to me.
Yeah.
Like in this room, and we're listening off studio monitors, that sounds better than some of the other attempts at an amp.
Sure.
In my opinion.
No, I agree.
I don't want to talk.
I think sometimes that high-end flutter and it sounds like I don't know even how to describe it, but sometimes the high-end distortion noise kind of does bug me, and I always think, how is this going to sit in the tone? Especially when you lay that on top of a guitar and a keyboard and all this stuff. I mean, you're definitely really spreading like your sonic living space.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of wonder, but I think as it sits, it is very cool.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense? Not hating on it. I think it always just makes you wonder.
Well, I mean, you could also just counteract it by rolling this down even more. And it's like,
then
there
it
you
gets
go.
dark, though. It gets pretty dark.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And for that, I just leave it all the way up if that's...
Man, that makes that really, like, the P still sings. Like, the P bass still sings in that. And you get this, like, punch, like, woofy little...
I like how I feel it giving more sustain.
Cool. Yeah.
Without necessarily having to compress it. And I know overdrive is compressing because it's just taking the waveform, just like chopping it.
Sure.
But
yeah,
the way it does it, I'm into it. Find yourself an overdrive pedal that you're like married to, whether it's like
what are you up against here?
Or, what other things I would grab?
Yeah, I mean the tubes, obviously, the micro tubes, the vintage tubes.
Yeah,
they've got those two versions, right?
Yeah, a lot of the dark glass stuff people like.
But those are so skewed.
Did you get all the Sans amp stuff? That I think this does the Sans amp thing without having to commit to all of it.
Sure. Well, without the XLR out.
Right, like it's not meant to be the same as the same, but to me it just sounds better.
Fair.
Than the little ones. Especially I haven't used your rack one, which is fascinating to me. Anyway,
what
the rack? Like just
what's fascinating that you haven't used it or the unit?
The unit.
Oh, okay.
Well,
it's weird that I haven't played on it.
No. The unit fascinates me. Sure. The bigger power supply, all that kind of stuff.
Get it in
I'd
here,
be
man.
interested to see what the difference is. Anyway. I don't know. There's a million dirt pedal, like any guitar pedal that has a dirt circuit that also lets you make up the low end would be great on bass. JHS has a bunch of stuff. It's just like, seems like to me finding a dirt pedal on bass or like a saturation pedal is such a personal choice.
Yeah, especially in your case where the Noble is not going to give you that chance.
No, a lot of these give you that a real overdrive.
A lot of these DIs that they're coming out with have this dirt built in, and you can really get there on a lot of these options. But here, I mean, with your Noble, it's like you've got to look somewhere else for that.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting, cool way to get there. I like it.
Yeah, and so it's a great pairing with the Noble. It's a great pairing with this Rupert Neve DI, which is also freaking cool.
Yeah,
cool sounding DI.
He's gonna give me an impulse buy one probably.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I always
Except
walk
you
out.
have to send it Phantom Power.
Yeah, true. I always walk out of here and I'm like, I gotta buy some new gear. We always talk about gear, and then I'm like, oh man, I need to buy more gear.
Yeah. I guess the only other thing is like we have an Arkham. Is it called the Origin? Oracle.
The Arkham Oracle is on the way.
Origin. Is that a Batman game?
Origin, yes. And then Origin is another pedal that we already done, so we're all
the Arkham
Oracle. Oracle.
I am very excited to compare that to the Noble.
Absolutely.
And
the
maybe
shootout. Pew pew.
I don't know if I should commit to it on video and then forget about it, but like we should compare the Noble Grizzly Bass combo to the Oracle by itself. Sure. Because it'll overdrive.
We'll just do an hour-long session, and we'll just like pull in.
Just get it going.
Just pull all the pedals, pull it all in.
Because that would be like, to me, it's like, does it sound as good as the Noble? In particular to me, as 3D as the Noble sounds?
Yes.
And can it do what the Grizzly Bass does, which is like a cool overdrive? Like, it's a real tube you'd be overdriving.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd just be very curious to see. But this is my accommodation. This was on my board. I'll play a little bit, and Nick can mess around with it.
Sure, I'd love to.
I'll use my Yamaha bass, and then we'll get it going.
I set that bass down, and I said, that's going to fall in about 2 minutes.
It might. I'm looking at it right now.
I'm willing to take my chances. I just went to Vegas, playing a show, and I'm feeling like a gambling man. All right, let's play with this thing.
Will you turn it off real quick? I'll show the clean tone.
Yeah. What a cool bass. I know we always do this, but this is a completely passive Yamaha. And I just always want people to know what it is.
Yeah, it's my understanding is it's one of the first production 5-string basses. They took their biggest 4-string neck, slapped 5 on it. It's probably too tight for a lot of people. I really like it, and it's all passive. I really like Yamaha's electronic situation. Usually PJ basses, you can get into some weird areas if the pickups aren't matched in a pleasing way.
Absolutely. But yeah, just as a disclaimer, there's the clean tone. All right, here comes some grit. That's the kicker for me. It's this knob.
Yeah. You like it or you don't like it.
That's what I love, is that it gives you the chance to pull off that maybe less usable flutter and distortion on top.
Yeah, if I was ever blowing it out this bad, when we used to play at a bunch of churches, they would say something to me if it was hissing. And it'd be like, well, you're using a ton of distortion. That's how all the records sound.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, it's hissing. And so it's like, well, with this, I get to dial that down.
Yeah.
Which might have contributed to why I like it so much.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the weapon you need on the pedal. I'm going all distortion. That's getting into microtubes territory.
Yeah, totally.
Just scooped, a lot of low, a lot of high.
Yep. But it doesn't have just one sound.
No, dude.
My favorite part of it.
You roll that off, open it back up.
There's you get your mids again.
That is cool. And then here's something a little more transparent. And that's still got plenty of dirt. Do you run both of them when you're playing?
Yeah, I have these Sharpie marks, so this is... It's fine.
He loves the silver Sharpie.
I know, I shouldn't.
Take a little rubbing alcohol, get it off when you're selling it.
That's the hardest part when I go to sell something. I'm like, oh man, I Sharpied all over this thing. This is my always on setting.
That's pretty dirty.
It's maybe a touch dirtier than my always on. This might be my just a little bit of grit. Sure. But by the time I'm using an amp and it's on stage or whatever, it just sits.
Well, it's gonna hit the Noble different.
Yeah.
It's was it? Yeah.
So I could really dig in if I wanted
I'd roll
to.
that. Can you do that again? See, now you're in usable. You're not going to rip your head off if you do something wild.
Yeah, and then talking about that slap circuit, just so that we like totally, you know, if I wanted it and wanted to just scoop it and use it as that slap pedal, I think they call it the Funkulator or something. It's with a green knob. It's super cool, but it's just I'm not a slap bass guy.
Proceeds
Give it more
slap.
game.
I'm not a slap bass guy.
So there's my Nortone.
Yeah, that's classic. That's great.
Maybe like there.
Yeah. That'd be fun to rip to.
When I go back to this with how loud this back pickup is, it almost sounds banjo-y or like back pickup-y.
Yeah.
Here's the B-bass pickup. So it's almost too much in the high end when I'm slapping like that.
Let me cut it more.
There you go. You want to move it up and down, maybe?
Yeah. So yeah, there it is. It feels like it actually does take off a little bit of the high as well. Honestly.
Yeah, it's hard to explain because it's not uniform. Like I can't tell you what it does the whole time. Oh, camera died. Like a couple of rookies, the camera battery died. And it's going to die again in like 2 seconds. So thanks for checking this out.
Yes.
I think you found everything and we like it a lot. Bye.